Morning, Steve Tuig. Today I'm reading from Turning Within, page 144, and we're discussing cognitive biases, or what I've come to call cognitive loops. Cognitive biases encompass a range of mental shortcuts and tendencies influencing our decision making and interpretation of information. Among them, confirmation bias stands out as a potent force. It refers to our innate inclination to seek and prioritize data. It confirms our beliefs while disregarding, downplaying, or denying contradictory evidence. You ever had that happen? Where you were just going off of what you know and what you knew was wrong, and you disregarded, downplayed, or denied contradictory evidence? Confirmation bias, unchecked, impedes progress and perpetuates self-limiting belief patterns. When we cling rigidly to certain narratives or constructs about ourselves and the world, we actively seek evidence that validates these beliefs, therefore reinforcing their hold on our consciousness. This cycle creates a feedback loop, or what I call cognitive loop, that, as filtered through our selective attention, casts out alternative perspectives, preventing us from exploring the full spectrum of our experiences and inhibiting personal growth. In the context of shadow or shadow work, we consider that the mind is limited in its judgment. Each limited conclusion is based on another limited judgment. This is how we get locked into what the Hindus call Maya. Because once a judgment's made and confirmed, it's then leveraged so we can create another bias or meaning. This has happened to you since the beginning of the first string of code that is you. Think about that for a minute. 13.5 billion years of coding, of meaning made moment by moment, second by second, so that you could be at the window. This coding is traced clear back to your very first ancestor. All of us are sitting on top of confirmation bias. You'd get hit by a bus if you weren't. We can't make heads or tails of anything that doesn't have some body of information connecting it to something you already know. That's the value and lesson of the Rosetta Stone. Now, the Rosetta Stone was discovered in 1799. Had the exact text inscribed in 3 different scripts: ancient Greek, Demotic, and Egyptian hieroglyphics. It became the key to deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphics, a script that we lost for almost 1,400 years. We start with what we've confirmed. This is how the mind works, the same way as the Rosetta Stone. We start with what we've confirmed, look at how this aligns with this new information, and then we translate the experience. If this process is valid for language, which is the narrative, it's true for any language, anything that language supports. And it's all thoughts. What are thoughts? They're language. They're symbols. They're meaning. Confirmation bias at its very root. We only know something new because we've something to relate it to. The law of proximity at the mental level. By activating your curiosity and looking at where your bias sits, you identify where shadow hooks its claws into you and begin to discover the structure to your suffering. To navigate your bias, awareness is paramount. By recognizing the tendency of confirmation bias and consciously questioning your assumptions, you open yourself up to a broad range of possibilities. You have the capacity and the capability to intentionally seek out opposing viewpoints, engage in self-constructive self-inquiry, and cultivate a mindset of curiosity and openness. Embracing this approach allows you to challenge your preconceptions and invites new insights and perspectives to emerge. Hence, and most importantly, how we do anything is typically how we do everything. If we have a bias at the thought level in one area, you can guarantee it's happening elsewhere in your life. Your biases become the threads in which you pull to unravel your suffering. I have a saying, it's suffering is sacred. And the reason my suffering is sacred is because it shows me where the mental blueprint that I'm operating out of is casting its gaze on the external world. And I have a sneaky suspicion as I continue to do my work, that it's like this all the way up and all the way down. And when we choose, both as individuals and as a society, to pull on the thread of the bias that keeps us trapped, we begin to unravel the prison in which we are trapped in. We all have biases that are causing us suffering. And the value of identifying what those biases are, what those shadows and constructs of meaning are, we begin to pull at the very thread of how we design our reality. By choosing to lean into the places that are uncomfortable, we become open to experiencing a life more in line with who we truly are.